Welcome to the K20 Center's Zoom Into Your Career video series. These online career expos give students a way to explore many interesting careers and learn about their career options from volunteer professionals. Justin Hutto is a National Hot Rod Association drag racer from Houston, Texas. He began racing at the age of 10 and has amassed over 20 NHRA and IHRA event wins. He not only drives in the comp and stock eliminator classes, but he also works in marketing and secures his own sponsorships.
All right, guys, my name is Justin Hutto. So as you just heard, I'm a professional race car driver in the NHRA. So not only does that mean I get to drive race cars at about 200 miles per hour across the country, but I also get to sell my own sponsorships as a sponsorship salesperson and a marketer to keep those sponsors around. So what I'm going to do now is share my screen and kind of give you guys an overview of how I got to where I am, and then show you guys some of the career opportunities in drag racing. Okay. All right, so I started racing, like she said, when I was 10 years old. At first, it just started out as something to do for fun. My dad raced, my granddad raced too, so it was just cool to do what I saw them do growing up. And I'm one of those guys that's really competitive, so I'm having fun with what I'm doing. So I decided to go ahead and work at becoming a good driver, and we did that. So we won lots of races in the junior ranks and got noticed by a racer in the local area and ended up getting promoted to a 1970 Nova in a class called Stock. And then we did well in that class as well and moved up again to a 71 Corvette going a little bit faster. So at this point, I'm going about 130 miles per hour. But in the back of my mind, I also knew that I needed to do more than just win races. So my goal has always been to race at the top ranks in the NHRA, which is Top Fuel. So those cars go about 330 miles per hour. And it's kind of the dream for me. I mean, being in that environment and being in the big show is something that I've just always had a dream to do growing up around the sport. So I started to figure out how to go out sponsors to get to the next level. And in that process, I came across a guy named Alex Stryler, who taught me a lot about sponsorship and motorsport marketing. And for you guys, especially once you start getting into high school, that's a big thing you want to do. Find mentors who can help you do what it is that you dream of doing. You know, if someone that you know is already in the field that you want to get into, ask them how they did it, and who knows who they could connect you to get you to where you want to be. So after that, I ended up driving my dad's 1969 Corvette, and again, did well in that class. And at that point, I also got my first big corporate sponsorship from Champion Auto Parts. And at that point, now that I had the sponsor, I'd won quite a few races. My name was kind of out there in the industry. I needed to figure out how to get into a faster car so that I could prove to the world that I could handle going over 150, 160 miles per hour. So after about a year or two of searching and figuring out how to save money to potentially rent a car, I ended up getting a big break and started driving for a gentleman out of Oklahoma City in this comp dragster here, going about 200 miles per hour. So now I'm going to share a video with you guys. So that's the dragster that I drive now, going about 200 miles per hour. And this is the Corvette that I get to drive, going about 130 miles per hour. And we'll keep racing in those two cars this season. So with that said, to get to the next point in my career, just keep moving on to Top Fuel. My goal is now to get as many sponsors as possible to have the money to go faster. So I began selling sponsorships pretty heavily about 2 years ago. And through the years, we've gotten a couple of big breaks, probably one of the biggest being State Farm, which we got last year. Just yesterday, I signed on with another company called NGK, who's coming on board this year. So we're still in the process, or I'm still in the process of getting to the top spot. But other than that, right now, my main priorities as a driver or keeping my reaction times fast. So I use a practice tree is what we call it to practice my reaction times at home. And I market myself pretty heavily. So sending things out like press releases and doing social media work is a big part of what I need to do to get to the top level. So the more people that see me and my sponsors in the media, the happier my sponsors are, and also the more potential sponsors will get to see me. And for you guys, within the next few years, that's also going to be a big thing, marketing yourself and having a personal brand. You know, no matter how old you are, whatever industry you want to get into, when an employer or a sponsor goes in your profiles and sees that you're doing things that they like, that's that much better of a chance of you getting the opportunity that you want. So a few of the key lessons that I've learned in this process so far from a racing standpoint are communication is king. So I say that communication is kind of like the gateway to your dreams. If you can talk to the people that can get you the opportunities you want, whether you want to be a race car driver or an actor or an actress, whatever it is that you want to do, it's people that are going to get you from where you are now, where you'll be in high school, to eventually where you're living out your dream. Communication is extremely important. One can do that as a job once you can start driving in a few years, whether it be in sales or service. Anything that allows you to talk to grown-ups and learn how to do that is a big plus as early as possible. So communication, networking, talking to the right people, and starting early are probably the biggest things that I'd say are important to achieving what I've achieved so far. If I was in 8th grade again or in middle school again, knowing what I know now, I probably ought to be racing in Top Fuel, because that's the more you know earlier, the better you'll end up doing. So start early and learn how to communicate with people. So the last thing I want to talk about before getting into questions is talking about the career opportunities in drag racing. So this is a picture of our president, the president of the NHRA, and the last reported income that he made last year was $906,000 in 1 year. So there's a lot of good money at the top levels of the sanctioning bodies like NHRA and NASCAR. So that's really where the best money is, more so than racing, being actually in the business side of these organizations. Our former president, who didn't even work a single second last year, made $600,000. So there's a lot of opportunity for you to make really good money in motorsport. And that said, NHRA just launched a motorsport careers program that allows people like you in the next few years, once you can start driving to and from work at 16, 17, and me even, to get different jobs in the industry. So on their website, they've got opportunities from ticket sales at events to actually being a director of technical inspection and whatnot for a series. And all of those opportunities make pretty good living. So it's a good opportunity for you to explore, launch. NASCAR also has a lot of opportunities for young people. This is a picture of the diversity intern program. So they've got a lot of opportunities there as well for people like you and me, and also different organizations like SEMA have a lot of career opportunities, a career board on their website. And if you want to get into actually being on a race team, schools like Sam Tech and UTI, within 2 years, they'll train you up and get you placed on a race team. So another avenue to get into it. And also, if you go the school route like I did, there's a lot of opportunities for internships through the years, which I've taken up. So right now, I'm even working for a motorsport marketing agency that I met through SEMA. So it's worked for me, and it can work for you as well over the next few years. So that's all I have got. So we can open it up to questions now.
All right, thank you, Justin. So students, if you have questions, you can do this one of two ways. You can send us a question in the chat feature, which one student has already done, with your school classroom name. You can also include your first name if you want us to mention who's asking. You don't have to do that though. The other option is if you don't want to send it just in a chat feature and you have a microphone, you can let us know that a student has a question and we will call on you to unmute your mic and have that student ask their question. So we'll start back up. We had a student from, what type of education did you get after high school?
So I'm actually at the University of Houston now. This is my last semester of undergrad. So I did go ahead and get a marketing degree. Looking back on it, I don't know if it was necessary. It's definitely gotten me a lot of connections. But yeah, I did get a marketing degree. It's helped to an extent. But I say the sales program here has been the biggest help, which again was all about teaching me how to communicate. So
wonderful, thank you. How do you do a burnout?
So my car owner would say that I do them too heavy. So he actually put a limiter on the burnouts that I do. Once you get in the water, just floor it. It's probably the most fun part of the run. Just hearing the engine rev up as you smoke the tires. So yeah, it's pretty easy. You can just tear stuff up like that though.
Wonderful. They would like to now know, how long have you been racing?
So I am 22 now and I started at 10. So I've been racing for 12 years. So quite a while technically, even though I started young, I've been in it for a while.
Yeah, that's a long time. All right.
Yeah,
Another question from, what degree do you need for this? Or I would add like training, experience, any sort of like education related to.
Yeah. So from a driving perspective, it's really a lot about making your own opportunities. So I wouldn't say you technically need an education. Most of the drivers out there now don't have college degrees, but they started out young like I did, so they were fortunate enough to have that. And they either were really good and got noticed, or they asked the right people what opportunities they may have on a race team and kind of got in just personal networking through that route. Yeah.
All right. Would also like to know, we'll ask the first half of it. What is your top speed that you've reached?
Top speed is 196 miles per hour. And I will say the first time I went that fast, it was terrifying. I questioned my career decisions at that point.
All right. That's understandable.
Yeah.
Second half of their question, has your parachutes ever failed?
Thank God, no, they have not. And hopefully they never will. That can get ugly. Yeah, so no.
All right. There's someone else asked about speed, so we'll skip that one. When and where is your next race? I think students are hoping to attend.
Yes, so our next race is in Louisiana in a couple of weeks, but we do have a couple of races in Oklahoma, one in Oklahoma City specifically, and that is in the summertime. So maybe, I don't know if we could do a field trip or something, but we do come out to Oklahoma a couple times a year.
Nice. All right. Oh, I just lost their question. Would like to know, what's the most interesting thing you've learned about your career since you started?
The most interesting thing I've learned about my career. I'd probably say the people aspect of it. You know, that's something I didn't account for, how all the personalities that you have to deal with. And as you deal with sponsors, you learn that not everybody has your best intentions. So, you know, kind of learning how to protect yourself and yeah, learning people was probably the most interesting part.
Right. Wants to know, how much traveling do you have to do?
So this year we'll be traveling quite a bit. We'll go to places like Indianapolis, we'll go to Denver, we'll go to Kansas quite a bit, Oklahoma, Texas. So we travel quite a bit, but the pro teams travel 24 times a year, which is pretty extreme, and they travel literally cross country. They can be in California one week and be in New Hampshire for a race the next week. It's a lot of travel.
All right. Wants to know, and I'm going to adjust this question just a little bit. What is the average salary of a race car driver?
So in my position, I only win or only make money when I win. So wins for the classes I'm racing in now each weekend is going to be about $5,000 to $6,000 for the smaller races, and probably right about $15,000 to $20,000 for the big national event races. So for the small ones, we'll do about 10 of those, and the big ones will do 6 of those this year. So there's an opportunity to earn quite a bit of money, but like I mentioned in the presentation, the safe money and the best money, the money that I hopefully like to see you guys make, is in the actual business side of these motorsport series. When a president is making $900,000 and the top driver's probably making $450,000, so half of that, it's kind of easy to say, if you're in it for money, go for the business part. Yeah, but for the pro teams, they do make $50,000 a weekend and 24 weekends a year. So.
He wants to know, just like regarding your car, how big are the tires?
They're a lot bigger than normal tires. They're, if you can imagine it, about 10 inches wide, and if you stand up, they probably go to you guys' ribs, maybe to your belt level. So they're not huge, but the faster the cars are, the bigger they get.
Okay.
Yeah.
And also wanted to know, like, how often do you have to change the tires?
So I was trying to get a tire sponsor this year for that reason. We've got to change those probably about every 30 to 50 runs, so they don't last long. So when you're thinking about 6 or 7 seconds per run, I guess in total they last less than 5 minutes. So yeah, you got to change them pretty often.
All right. Well, good luck with getting that sponsorship.
Thank you.
They wanted to know, have you ever experienced a racing accident? Have you been in one?
Not a big one. When I was in the junior dragsters, I was 8 years old and we were testing. And the first time I got in the car, I crashed it. And at that point, my mom would not sign over the papers for me to race for 2 years. So that was my first and last, because I want to keep racing. Mom is still protective, even though this is my career choice.
Okay. Thank you. Wants to know, how often do you practice, and like how long are your sessions when you practice?
Yeah. So in the junior days, I would practice at least 100 hits on the practice tree, and that would take probably an hour and a half to do it right. Nowadays, I have a different system to where I have to do 20 hits per day and what I consider perfect. So under a certain reaction time. And if I mess up and I don't get to 20 in a row, I just restart. So some days when I'm on, it'll be a quick session. It'll just be 20 hits, which can take 10, 15 minutes. But if I mess up, it can last for hours. So as long as it takes for me to get it right. So yeah, that's a huge part of winning. Yeah.
That's the key in life in general, is just making sure you practice even when you're doing well.
Yes.
Advice.
Yeah.
Have you ever won a major race?
Yes. So I've won 21 races at this point, from the junior dragster level all the way up to the big boys with the same class my dad is in. So Actually, the first race I won at that level, I had to beat my dad in the process. So yeah, I've won a few big ones. And my dad's a world champ, so that was a good day for me. That was big.
Nice. From they want to know, what do you want to do? Oh, this is a good question. So like, once you've finished like racing, is there anything else you want to do professionally? Is your plan to stay in the racing industry?
Yeah, that's a good question. So right now, I own a small motorsport marketing agency. So I'm actually already helping a race series right now with all of their marketing. So press releases, I create their marketing to help them get sponsors. So I see myself kind of sticking around in the business side of racing after a career. I do want to kind of get into the top level almost immediately, and then around 30, 35, kind of get out and maybe help another young driver along by owning a team and focusing on the business side of it. But yes, I do want to stay around in the business of racing.
Excellent. Back to one of their students want to know, do you use regular mechanics or are there special ones just for racing?
So with our team, if we do have people that come out to help, it's usually guys that have just been around the sport for a while. But the programs that I mentioned, like UTI, Universal Technical Institute, and SAM, which is actually a racing school here in Houston, those programs will teach you how to work on any type of race car within 2 years, and they'll help you get on a race team where you're making probably base without your share of winnings, probably probably about $45,000 a year, and that's 2 years post high school. So
nice.
Kind of specialized, but yeah.
Okay. We're going back to the question about your dad is very popular. So you mentioned the one race that you had to beat your dad in. Have you raced against your dad in multiple races, or was it just one?
Yes, I've beat him 3 times so far, so I'm 3-0 against him. He doesn't quite like that.
Yeah.
In 2017, when I started racing the Corvette, he stepped back and kind of supported me in getting to the next level once the dragster and stuff came around. But he's planning to come back within the next year, so we'll be racing each other again soon.
Okay, excellent, excellent. Yeah, keep us posted. We're gonna take our final question right now, and it's again coming from what kind of traction do the cars get on the tracks?
So hopefully you guys can come to a race one weekend, but on the racetrack, the surfaces that we race on are extremely sticky. So it's not like a normal road. Like once you put your shoe on and on the racetrack surface and it's not tied up tight, it'll yank your shoe off. It's like glue, hard pressed onto the track. So the drivers, we're safe as possible going 200 plus miles per hour.